whenever you ask someone a question, a different area of their brain has to become activated. It's a way to short circuit a narcissist. It doesn't always work, and depending on what type of narcissist you're dealing with. Again, if you're dealing with like the garden variety narcissist, you're dealing with somebody who's essentially an emotional bully, who is really very fragile on the inside, and they are deathly afraid of you setting a boundary, and they are deathly afraid of you walking away and abandoning them. It never made sense to me until I studied narcissism. In my first marriage, I used to say to my ex-husband, if you want me here and you want me to love you, why do you say such nasty things to me? I don't want to be close to you. I can't feel close to you. Like when you're mean to me, or you call me crazy, or you call me a wacko, you call me a flake, or you tell me that no one is ever going to love me and I'm all used up and I have all this baggage. When you say that you rescued me, I was nothing before I met you. Like when you put me down, like what's going on in your head? It wasn't until I studied narcissism that I understood that in his mind, if he knocked me off at the knees, and he actually admitted to me about 7 years after our divorce, he actually said, I just thought that if I broke you down, you wouldn't leave me. So it was this idea of breaking me down so that I would be too weak to leave him, and he would always have me with him, which it has taken me years to feel sorry for that mindset, because what a sad way to live your life, to think that in order to get your needs met, you have to beat people down and criticize them, right? And make them feel less than in order for them to stay with you. It's really quite sad when you think about it. And, you know, that's one school of thought. Then the other school of thought is that's downright mean. That's sick, you know, and some would say evil. That in order for you to feel good in your own skin, you need to cast out the light of another person's soul so that they need you, right? So, or they think that they need you. And to me, it's like very, very sad. But understanding narcissism and understanding this idea that, you know, they fear you abandoning them. And so if they cripple you emotionally and physically, spiritually, and financially, then it's very difficult for you to leave them. If they isolate you, right? If they tell you that your friends hate you, if they tell you that your family is jealous of you or jealous of them, and your friends are jealous of you, and they separate you from the things that you love, if they get you to quit their job, right, and you're financially dependent upon them, then you never leave them. And so it's really sad. You know, we really have to understand that when two people love each other, it's, to me, I always think about a bird in a hand. You know, a quick story. I rescued a hummingbird, and I had the hummingbird sitting in my hand, and I was feeding it sugar water, and the hummingbird was very happy in my hand. But the minute I went to close my hand, I was going to put the hummingbird inside this cage. The hummingbird took off. And I thought, what a great analogy for love. So love feels open-handed. In other words, when a narcissist says they love you, their fist is clenched, right? And you feel it. It's suffocating. It's constrictive. It doesn't feel right. There's a lot of resistance in the relationship. There's a lot of begging. There's a lot of defending. There's a lot of persecution, a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of anxiety. It never ends. Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. And then when you're free of this narcissism, suddenly your heart space opens up, and love feels like, you know, open-handed, meaning that you're free to come and you're free to go. With the narcissist, you're not free to come and you're not free to go. You know, they have to control everything. So it's important that you think about that also. So let's get to the questions that you can ask someone who you think has narcissism or is on the narcissistic spectrum. So the first question, are you saying I need your permission to feel my feelings? Ooh, whoa, wow. You say to someone who's trying to use crazy-making, word salad, nonsensical communication to mess with your head, are you saying that I need permission from you to feel my feelings, right? Mind-boggling, like a narcissist, like it'll be like does not compute, because a narcissist doesn't want to give themselves up. A narcissist doesn't want to say, you know, you don't have a right to your feelings, although some narcissists will say that, as a matter of fact, you know. But the average narcissist doesn't see that that's what they're doing. They feel entitled to exploit your feelings. Their feelings are more important than yours. So when you confront them with that logic, like, are you saying I need permission to feel my feelings, right? You know, it throws them off their game. And so that's a really great question that you can ask someone who is suggesting that you don't have a right to your feelings, right? This can come up, let's say you have an experience of your spouse's mom, right? And your spouse comes in and says, you're crazy. My mother didn't say that. My sister didn't say that. You don't have a right to say that. You don't have a right to feel that. That's ridiculous. And you hit them with, are you saying that I need permission to feel what I feel? Mind-boggling. Whoa! Let me know. If you try that, let me know how that works, because that is fun. The next question, are you suggesting that I need permission to have my own reality? So it's piggybacking off of, are you saying I need permission to feel my feelings? You're piggybacking off of that question. And what you're saying to a narcissist is that I had my reality or my experience of this situation, and it's my experience of this situation. Now, I've shared with you my experience or my reality of this situation, and you're telling me that my reality is wrong. So are you ultimately saying that I need permission to experience my reality? Right? Again, a narcissist's brain will fart. Like, what? What? I remember when I started asking my ex-husband these questions, like literally his eyes went dead. Like seriously, like deer in the headlights. Like I said something that just the way I used to explain it to my best friend, I was like, Vic, I said this, and it was like his brain farted. He was like, what? Like, what? Yeah, seriously. What you're saying is you matter and I don't matter. But he never saw that himself. So it was quite amazing to watch. The next question, are you saying your reality is more valid than mine, right? So again, we're piggybacking, right? So rather than permission, right? Are you saying that your reality is more valid than my reality? You're really poking them with, dude or chica, we're two separate people. You're entitled to your reality and I'm entitled to my reality. We're just trying to meet in the middle. It's like, wake up, you know? So that also might be helpful for you. Fourth key phrase that you can say, a really great question that you can use is, are you suggesting that the only perception, the only reality that matters is yours? Again, you're suggesting to a narcissist that you are recognizing this enmeshment. You are recognizing this need to be superior, this need to manipulate you. You're calling it out. Are you suggesting that the only perspective, the only reality in this dynamic is yours? You're calling out the narcissism, which is going to make a narcissist very uncomfortable, right? And the narcissist might come back with, no, that's not what I'm saying. And they may even backpedal a little bit. Or they might be a deer in headlights. They might go, oh, forget about this. You're so difficult, right? Lots of cases, that's what will happen. Deer in headlights, oh, and they'll discard you. They don't want to have the conversation anymore. You never get from point A to point B when you're dealing with somebody who has narcissism. Never. It's always crazy making. And that was one of the things when I was struggling with, should I stay or should I go in my first marriage, when I realized that I could not get from point A to point B with my ex-husband. And it wasn't all his fault. I was highly dysfunctional myself as a codependent. And I had my own things to work through. But I wanted to work through it. And I wanted to look at myself. And I wanted to accept my flaws. And I wanted to be a better person. I knew that I was not the best version of myself. And I wanted to change. And that was a huge difference between me and my ex-husband. My ex-husband was like living with Moses. You know? He read the Bible in the bathroom. And so he was better than me, right? In his head, he was better than me. And so getting from point A to point B with someone who really does think that you owe them, right? And they never trust you in the beginning, ever anyway. I learned that my ex-husband never trusted me. He always expected that the relationship was going to end. And I never knew that. I entered it truly 100% loving him and wanting to know more about him. But towards the end of the marriage, it became very obvious that, wow, you never trusted me. There was never that desire to trust me. Now everything began to make sense. But that when I sat down, I realized that I'm never going to be able to get to point A from point B. I realized what a detriment that was to my own soul. And I realized the dysfunction that I was teaching my children. And that's when I knew that I was going to have to face whatever it was I had to face to end my marriage and move forward. And that was the greatest struggle of my life. But it liberated me and it freed me. So I understand what you're going through, dear ones. Question 5. Are you suggesting that your feelings are more valid than mine? Boom. I remember one of the things that my ex-husband used to say to me all the time that messed with my head is, it's always about your feelings, Lisa. You're always talking about your feelings, your feelings, your feelings, I don't want to always talk about your feelings, right? And I would feel so ashamed, And then I realized that what he was doing, like I looked at him one day and I said, are you not having feelings right now? What do you mean? Are you not having feelings? Even if they're feelings of disgust for me, or you're aggravated by me, or you're annoyed by me, or you can't stand me in this moment, right? You're repulsed by me. Aren't those feelings? And there was the look, the dead look, like what's happening, right? He knew where I was going. So in my opinion, feelings are very important. And if you're in a loving relationship, they matter. Should feelings be all you and your partner talk about? Absolutely not. There's a lot of fun to be had, right? And ultimately, we're all responsible for how we feel, right? And we're all responsible for making ourselves happy. And we want to manifest someone who's also responsible for their own feelings and can take care of themselves and is also generally happy. And you want to quantify that in a healthy, mutually satisfying relationship. You want to be challenged by one another so you continue to grow, right? But when you're dealing with a narcissist, especially a narcissist who's so below the veil, they don't always realize that in their head, in their world, their feelings matter. And so while they're discounting your feelings and they're making fun of you for your feelings, when you turn it around and you say, are you saying that your feelings are more valid than my feelings? It'll make them stop for a moment, because in lots of cases, they're going to understand where you're going and they're not going to like it, right? But it's important. This allows you the ability to psychologically disconnect, and it gives you the ability to understand what's happening in this relationship. You are being invalidated. Your experiences are being invalidated day in and day out. So when you say these questions, what you're doing for yourself is you're building your own self up. You're esteeming yourself. You're saying, I matter. Codependents cannot esteem themselves. They don't have an I. They don't know who they are. But you know what? When you ask questions like this, you are helping to identify the problem. And only when you identify the problem can you ever hope to identify a solution.